Guys, the Super Review Show here for another episode of Rock Talk. This is the show where I break down albums that have anniversaries or the artist and album is just that good. You should definitely check out this band or artist no matter what, or even this album for that matter. As the title of this video suggests, today, April 20th, 2023, marks the 30th anniversary of one of the biggest albums of the 1990s, with Aerosmith's Get a Grip. Now, you're probably saying, well, where's your vinyl? Where's your vinyl? I don't have a vinyl of it personally. For just a side note, 90s vinyls are really hard for people to come by. I'm lucky I have some of the ones I have, like R.E.M's Monster, or even Automatic for the People. Like, there's albums from the 90s that I have on vinyl, but they're really hard to come by. Billy Joel's The River of Dreams was a pain in the butt to get. But I have them. I don't have this one, though. But I will shed some light on how awesome this album is. When you think about the 1990s, you think about grunge. You don't really think about 80s music per se, 80s artists per se doing well in the 90s, except for like one or two other bands, like Bon Jovi, big one of course. You think about Def Leppard with their album Adrenalize, which was the year before, 92. But you also think a lot of people forget about this one. Aerosmith's Get a Grip had so many hits on it. In the early to mid 90s, they had Crazy. They had Living on the Edge. They had other songs like Crying. They also had songs like, slightly lesser known, but Eat the Rich. They also had Amazing. Those are 5 hit singles off of this album. It's it's one of their biggest selling albums of their whole catalog, truthfully. I mean, outside of Pump in 1989, or 88, it was 89. In Pump in 1989 had like Love in an Elevator. It also had Fine. It also had Janie's Got a Gun. One of my favorite Aerosmith songs right there, truthfully. But Aerosmith's Get a Grip just kept their momentum going. It brought them a newfound forefront with the single Living on the Edge. It was played on the radio so much that it became a staple on radio and in their live shows as well. I do know that because I did see them at their 50th anniversary show, and they did play it, and it was like 5 to 7 minutes long of a track. And on the recording itself, Living on the Edge, on the album, it's about, I think, 5 minutes or maybe 6 minutes, I forget. But they never released a single version, so that really shows me that the power of radio back in the day, that longer songs could be more effective, or were more effective back then with Living on the Edge. That song was like 5 or 6 minutes long. I mean, yes, we had Taylor Swift do it with All Too Well from Taylor's version. That charted number 1. That was like 10 minutes long last year, the year before, but still. That was a big deal back then, having a really long song being a standard on radio. That was like 5 or 6 minutes long. And to my understanding, I don't know exactly where I read this, but I was reading some articles about Aerosmith, because I went through a whole Aerosmith phase, and I was reading about their shows in the 1990s, and apparently Living on the Edge was it went on for so long live that the longest recorded version of it, I believe, to my understanding, was at least 20 minutes long. The one song was 20 minutes long. It might have been longer, I forget. But I did read that somewhere. I'm not sure specifically where I heard that, but I was reading reading something online about Aerosmith's Get a Grip and that time period for them. And I was like, what? That song was 20 minutes live? Oh my God, that's awesome. If you're a fan of long songs at concerts, that was a pretty good one for you back in the day with Aerosmith. But who would have thought? That's just Living on the Edge. Let's jump over to Crazy for a second. Crazy, I was not alive then. I was not alive in the early 90s. I was born in 1998. But I know that song very well because it was played so much on the radio back then. It's still played on adult contemporary radio today. On our local stations around where I am, that song is still played today on adult contemporary radio because it was such a massive radio played hit on stations today. Even Crazy, Crying, another single off that album, was like, the album went platinum. It sold like 14 or 15 million copies of the one album, like a CD, physical copy of Aerosmith Get a Grip, physical copy. I think it was that they said, I think Wikipedia or I forget the sales certifications, I forget where it said, where I looked it up. That album has sold at least about 15 million copies in the U.S. alone, let alone the world. So do the math there. That's a lot of album. That's a very, very highly successful album in the U.S. alone. That's crazy. That's like just if you can do those numbers in CDs, you're doing great. It's insane. But yeah, Crazy, Crying, and Living on the Edge, big hit singles. Also, some lesser known singles on the album or lesser known hits on the album that I think of personally are Eat the Rich. I also think of the ballad Amazing. I hear that all the time on Sirius XM 90s on 9 for some reason, but it's just a great closer to that. And there's a little snippet at the end there. But I love this record. Like I said, I don't have a physical copy of it, but those are the singles that I remember from it. And I have to say, this album is blues rock and hard rock to the max, to a T, on steroids. It's crazy. But lo and behold, on today, April 20th, 2023, marks 30 years since that album has been out. It's hard to believe, but some of those songs are still played on radio. Like Living on the Edge is still played on rock radio to this day. Songs like Crazy and Crying are still played on adult contemporary radio, like adult alternative, but adult contemporary radio today. So it's crazy how an album 30 years on, as of today, April 20th, keeps us going, keeps our Aerosmith fans and music fans alike filled with joy and thriving on these songs. So I want to thank you all for watching this video. Happy 30th anniversary to Aerosmith's Get a Grip. I have to get the vinyl of it at some point from 1983. I'm going to work on that at some point. At some point soon I'm going to get that. Don't worry. And I'll post it on our social medias, by the way. But yeah, that's going to do for this episode of Rock Talk. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, smash the like button as well. So as I said, subscribe. We do these types of videos all the time. For 2023, we're doing Rock Talk episodes left and right. And don't forget to follow us on our social media as well. Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter, simply at The Super Review Show. Our logo is the same as it was on there. So thanks so much for watching. But for all of your Rock Talk episodes and many more, keep it locked on The Super Review Show. The J-Man, it's off to rock. See you guys later.